Dear viewers, welcome to the weekly roundup. Thanks for joining another episode. If you enjoyed this, subscribe. Let's dive in. Starting with reveals and announcements. Last Epoch ramped up the community testing program, allowing more applications. Given the hype around multiplayer, they won't struggle finding people for this. Quite a few viewers on the main channel, Thyworm, suggested I should apply too, as this is my game and all, but as a content creator, doing this sort of stuff is not a great idea. I think so, at least. First of all, you have to sign an NDA, meaning you can't make content about it or talk about it. And secondly, I personally feel early access like this sort of clouds your judgment when the actual multiplayer comes out. I want to experience the multiplayer like everyone else, and then give my unbiased, uninfluenced opinion, like I always do. Community testing doesn't help then. I want to keep a bit of a, let's say, professional distance from the devs and not get too involved in the shaping of the game, so I can still judge it like it's experienced by basically everyone else, if that makes sense. It's not that I wouldn't like to be part of the testers and already play multiplayer. I would love to do that actually, but I feel it's not the right approach as a content creator. If you do want to apply, however, go over to the Last Epoch Discord and follow the instructions. Farthest Frontier released another devlog talking about how diseases and ailments work in this super realistic city builder. Let me give you a summary while you watch the latest dev stream. Drinking water from a nearby lake can increase the risk of acquiring parasites or developing dysentery. Malnutrition from lack of vitamin C can cause villagers to develop scurvy. Rabies from a rabid wolf bite is often lethal. There are seasonal illnesses too, such as the flu or common cold. Then there are injuries. Villagers living without shoes can develop foot injuries or sprained ankles. Workers in mines are at higher risk of breaking limbs. Soldiers risk their lives in combat as every blow has the potential to become a dangerous festering wound. And then some of these can progress into even worse conditions, like flu turning into pneumonia. Ideally, you prevent all of these things from happening, but how? Well, for example, ensure there's clean water with a well, reduce spreading of diseases by handing out soap, give your villagers shoes to protect their feet, coats protect them from the cold and thus the flu, and a rat catcher and properly stored grain can handle rat infestations, making sure stuff like the bubonic plague doesn't kill your town. My main concern when reading all of this is that it is simply too realistic. And it's just a small part of the game. You need to manage food, waste, army supply, and probably 14 other things as well, like a somewhat functioning economy. I'm starting to wonder how fun that is going to be, and I'm really hoping there will be options to turn at least some of these illnesses and injuries off, because if you can't, I don't see a large population of gamers interested in this ultra-realistic city builder. It becomes less of a game and more like a full-time management job, and that's only fun to so many people. Time for more city builders, this time on the back of a massive dinosaur. The Wandering Village shared a devlog with some pictures. They're working on a lot of topics. For example, a bunch of new building types, and I really love seeing these before they hit the game. I can't draw even if my life depended on it, so I find it very cool someone just makes this out of thin air. All buildings are now animated, and Onbu, the dinosaur, has new animations as well. Villager priorities are added, meaning you can have much more control over their tasks. Quite handy when the poison clouds hit. During the demo I got completely destroyed by poison because Onbu decided it was the perfect spot on the entire map to take a well-deserved nap in the middle of a poisonous lake. This shit spreads faster than wildfire, and this cute looking game turned into a purgatory within 3 seconds, abruptly ending my soothing and peaceful run. I don't think I was the only one, and this might have led to the decision to overhaul the poison spread and poison mechanic a bit. New events got added, new sounds, new music, and I freaking love the music in this game. It is super thematic and fitting, so I can't wait to hear the new tracks. And finally, a separate tutorial area and some new crops. Not a bad harvest for 2 months of work from this small Switzerland indie team. They finished by mentioning they're going to be on Gamescom, and yours truly is actually trying to make that happen as well. Trying to get press accreditation and then go there once again, just like in 2019. This time though, I'll have a plan and some things that I actually want to do there. More on that later, if the Germans let me in. The Slormancer slormed another Slormite Chronicle, number 15. They shed some more light on the upcoming Great Forge, a wave-based endgame mode where you need to survive as many waves as possible, collect the rewards, and that's it. Well, that's the gist of it. Every 10 waves you get 3 random modifiers making your run harder and you need to pick one. And there is a recurring boss fight, as this dude gets stronger every wave as well. I mean, this already sounds more interesting than Arena and Last Epoch, not gonna lie, and I'm actually looking forward to this. And there's a lot more happening. I'm not going to get into the whole ordeal here, but using the new endgame system, expect a new currency that will form another minor way to upgrade your Slorm Reapers, the main weapons you're using to scale damage. New features include, for example, applying triggers and other effects, which should be amazing honestly. More so, expect heavy balancing around Slorm Reapers. Currently, Slorm Reapers are totally unbalanced because all that ultimately really matters in a Slormancer build is Reaper damage, because everything directly or indirectly scales off of Reaper damage. Because some Slorm Reapers had like 150% more Reaper damage than others, everybody would just pick that one with that much damage. You'd be dumb not to. The devs realized this, admitting they also kind of forgot that they hadn't entirely figured out how multipliers would scale. Good thing they are not making an ARPG then, right? Anyway, what they're going to do is balance the Slorm Reapers so they have comparable Reaper damage numbers, so it's not a decisive factor anymore. Instead, you can actually pick a Reaper that seems fun to you, and there are a ton of fun weapons in this game, and then try to explore and exploit their unique effects instead of just scaling raw Reaper damage. This should open up tons of build options, and I'm definitely diving back in for this one and start experimenting and grinding it out. One final thing that's just great with this update is that Reaper levels and upgrades are now valid for the whole weapon family, meaning that if you upgrade the Reaper sword for the knight, the Reaper bow equivalent is automatically upgraded too for the hunter. This takes away a massive mindless grind. Can't wait for this next update. The devs are guessing mid-August, so I'm guessing a bit later than that then. There's a new indie game in town, or at least it tries to make its way through the town gate, because Rayless Blade, an open-world RPG inspired by Undertale, is currently doing a Kickstarter. Quite an interesting one, this game. It has the Undertale combat mixed with JRPG turn-based combat. It has a bunch of rare characters and random spawn locations, and fighting them rewards you with unique loot. It has puzzles, gizmos and gadgets. It has a story, I'm sure. I enjoy the pixel art style on display here, and let's see where this one ends up. They only want $15,000, which isn't a ton to make a game. Should you be interested, there's a link in the description to the Kickstarter. Arcade Paradise, a sim game where you need to turn a laundry shop into an arcade hall, launched a new trailer for its August 11th release. And this looks rather interesting. It's a bit like House Flipper, but then you slowly turn the venue into an arcade hall. And the voice acting here is from Doug Cockle, better known as Geralt of Rivia. Interesting title, could be fun. Last year, a new Lord of the Rings game got announced, Gollum. This was going to be a stealth action RPG where you play as Gollum. Last week, they released a gameplay trailer, one of those gameplay trailers with hardly any gameplay in it. And this thing is supposed to release in 7 weeks, on September 1st. Comments below the video are absolutely brutal. Not only does the game not look particularly current or new gen, people also just have issues with the concept in general. Crouching around Middle Earth as a shit goblin, as someone so eloquently put it, is that really the best thing they could come up with in this rich universe? I can kind of see the sentiment, and based on this trailer, I wouldn't be surprised this gets delayed. The beautiful Sea of Stars, an RPG inspired by classics such as Secret of Mana, at least that's what pops into my mind when looking at this, has been delayed to 2023. It never had an official date, but it was communicated it should release somewhere this year. That is not happening anymore. They need more time, and that's all fine. The game is very high on my list because it just looks so bloody gorgeous. Another game I'm really looking forward to, Signalis, the classic horror indie game by dev duo Rose Engine, has a release date now. October 27th, pretty close to Halloween. We can all get our minds blown away by this dystopian world ruled by a totalitarian regime in a game that combines elements of cosmic dread, horrific puzzles and classical horror games. Not for the faint of heart, but indie enjoyers are going to have a field day with this one. And then the final game of this segment, Lost Eidolons, the story-driven strategic indie game where you're leading a rebellion while fleeing away from an evil lord, released a dev update with some great news. I played the demo of this game, reviewed it, link in the description once again, and while the overall game was rather solid, it definitely had a few weird issues. One of those was the dialogues, and the devs noticed this too. Dialogues have apparently been improved, the speed between characters speaking is increased, and we can expect more cutscenes while we hear the characters talk. These dialogues are a huge part of the narrative, but they were rather boring, and for some reason it took like 2 seconds for the other character to start talking. This resulted in you waiting when the dialogue shifted from one character to another, and you know, in a dialogue that tends to happen every now and then. Wouldn't be much of a dialogue otherwise, now would it? I'm glad that's fixed now. At some point in the game, rather early on, you are able to set up your own camp, which serves as your base of operations. While that camp third-person experience was okay, it could be improved with some more stuff happening, maybe some side quests, things like that. And the devs are adding those things too. This is a self-made, self-published indie game, so if you like what you see here, you can watch my video for much more details or wishlist the game on Steam. That helps a lot. It's a bit like subscribing to a YouTuber like me, you know? It makes us all feel warm and fuzzy inside. It's teaser time, a mix of small updates or teasers I think are worth showing. Diplomacy is not an option, will enable university research soon, allowing you to improve troops, spells and refine existing research. Up next, a random teaser from Ixion, the space station builder, I guess. I mean, you can kind of see what's going on here, right? This sort of stuff is right up my alley. I love space exploration games and I love city builders, and this is a weird mix that looks strangely polished, and I still have no real clue what this game is all about, but I love everything about it. You know that feeling? Next up we got this, Terminator. Really no idea what else to say about this. And then we have this, Robocop.
Can you fly?
I don't know which era these devs are living in, but 20 years ago this trailer would have actually been impressive. Nowadays, not so much.
What the hell is this?
And the final trailer I want to show you, this honestly really doesn't look much better than the previous one. This is Sir Whoopass. And yeah, the more I see about this game, the less excited I'm getting. Release is August 19th this year. Proceeding with the patch Plaza, bringing you an overview of patch news. I want to bring your attention once more to Striving for Light, an ARPG made by a small indie team with a unique art style. The devs have been slaving away at this game since I played it, which is a couple of months ago. At first, the game was in a rather poor state, and while the devs asked me to play it and maybe do a video on it, I decided to email them a list of feedback points instead. I kept tracking this game, however. I played it from time to time, did an occasional run, and over the last few months it has seen massive improvements. Recently they added a frenzy mode, which is basically a kill streak which grants you experience multipliers. Very useful because leveling allows you to spec points into the randomly generated skill tree. That's right, a randomly generated skill tree, which has been improved a ton lately as well, so now it actually works most of the time. The game has seen a ton of fixes, new features, interesting ARPG ideas and polish, and maybe it's worth checking out for you or wishlisting it to see and follow further developments through its early access journey. Personally, I am a little short on time, you will soon see why, but once I do have some time, I'm planning to do a deep dive into this game and show you how far it's come. Of course, making a regular appearance on the show, Vampire Survivors, ladies and gentlemen, patch 0.8.0 contains 3 new achievements and a new version of Stage 5, Let's Mosey, a final roadmap relic with a new game mechanic and 1 new arcana, plus 1 minor relic to view enemies' data from the main menu, which can be found in Dairy Plant. Furthermore, the dev updated some graphics, added a visual indicator of how many skins are available per character, added an option to always pick coin bag or floor chicken when leveling up after maxing out all weapons. He added visual reminders for banished items, he added an option to filter out obtained unlocks, and the Crimson Shroud's retaliation damage now heavily damages some special enemies. Alaloth, Champions of the Four Kingdoms, has been releasing several hotfixes after the early access launch, but this one deserves a bit of attention. In my review yesterday, I mentioned that repairing gear is very tedious currently because gear breaks down quickly, meaning you constantly need to visit a town to see a blacksmith. This is now an issue of the past, because repair kits and repair stations in safe zones make their way into the game. There is a safe zone before any fighting area, meaning that repairing gear shouldn't be an issue anymore. Furthermore, the patch fixes additional crashes and freezes and bugs. One of them I encountered specifically, a game freeze after you enter the final zone, Alaloth's domain. That one got squashed as well. The devs are definitely on the case here. Watch my review for the full story, but overall very solid title. Then releases. Looking back at what released last week, I suggested Dragonforge might be interesting last roundup. It released, it cost €16, but no one likes the game. It's sitting at 37% user rating on Steam, with people complaining it feels like a mobile early access game, and that's problematic because it is a PC full release game. Seemed like it could be something, but it turns out dragons should remain extinct after all. Let's look ahead at what's releasing this week. Esse Proxy, one of my favorite games of late. I did a preview on this channel as well. Releases July 11th. This top-down, retro music-infused action fest with gory gameplay and blazing guns tries to get you into a literal gameplay loop where it's rinse and repeat, die and go again until you figure out how to best proceed through the layouts of the small enemy-infested levels. I absolutely adored the demo and I can't wait to play the full game. I have a review key for this one, so expect a review from me. I've been playing the game all weekend. I found something else that could be a fun game, Neon Blight, releasing also July 11th. This whole thing just screams cyberpunk Enter the Gungeon to me, and this is what the devs say about it. Fight through dystopian cyberspace, collect hundreds of firearms, establish an exotic black market gun store, cater to other cyberpunk runners, and work towards the ultimate payday in this neon roguelite store management shoot 'em up. I mean, that's good, no? Hellpoint Blue Sun, the DLC to Hellpoint, launches July 12th. For €8.19, you're getting the following features for this Souls-like sci-fi ARPG that I actually reviewed back in the day on the main channel. A whole new parallel dimension with access to 3 additional locations in and around the Irid Novo space station. Blue Sun is also going to add new weapons, armor sets, shields, a new contract quest system, cube programs, taunts, and much more. Besides that, the base game is going to receive an update that adds features highly requested by the community, such as inventory management and stats respec. This is an underrated, flying under the radar game in my opinion, and definitely worth checking out if Souls-like third-person games are your thing. July 13th, Loopmancer releases. The voiceover for this trailer is horrible, but the gameplay definitely promising. Loopmancer is a 3D horizontal roguelite action game with realistic graphics that takes place in a cyberpunk universe. Players play as a detective who comes back to life after an unexpected death and battle in this lifelike and futuristic city of the East. What strikes me the most here is the use of environments and how that kills enemies. Also, the moves and animations are spot on, so this could be good. July 14th, Clanfolk sees the light of day in early access. Clanfolk is a medieval colony sim set in the Scottish Highlands. Harness your environments to survive, fish, gather, hunt and farm as you prepare for the harsh winter, build an inn, trade with other clans, have children and marry them off, live life and prosper across the generations. At first glance, there's not necessarily anything particularly outstanding here, but it is published by Hooded Horse, and they tend to publish very solid indie titles, so I'm sure this game has something interesting or they wouldn't get involved. And Hooded Horse likes me too, apparently, because they just sent me a review key. I'll be doing a review on this one. This week's sort of free games, because I'm Dutch and I'm cheap, Epoch has 2 free games, Ancient Enemy, an RPG card battler set in a crumbling world where the forces of evil have already won. Blast distorted enemies with a satisfying range of spells and abilities. Journey into a scarred wilderness and defeat the deadliest foe of all. Not a generic description in the slightest. Second free game is Killing Floor 2, where players descend into continental Europe after it has been overrun by horrific, murderous clones called Zeds that were created by rogue elements of the Horzine Corporation. It features 6-player co-op and 12-player versus Zed slaughtering mayhem. Uncle Phil from Game Pass outdid himself, putting no less than 7 new titles on Game Pass, starting with Last Call BBS. Yes, Last Call BBS, a puzzle game, very weird. Then 3 Yakuza games, Yakuza Kiwami, Yakuza Kiwami 2 and Yakuza 0. I've never played any of these Yakuza games. I know there are like 27 of them and apparently they're running out of ideas because this one's even called Yakuza 0. But if you're a fan, they're playable again on Game Pass. Up next, DJ Max Respect 5 or V. You may think I'm randomly making up these names, but I'm not. This is a real thing. This is a rhythm game, the 5th installment, introducing new modes, new artists, more than 150 unique tracks, exclusive music videos and for the first time in franchise history, competitive online multiplayer. I mean, who doesn't want to play that, huh? Then, Road 96, a crazy beautiful road trip. The discovery of exciting places and unusual people on your own personal journey to freedom. An ever-evolving story-driven adventure inspired by Tarantino, the Coen Brothers and Bong Joon-ho, made by the award-winning creators of Valiant Hearts and Memories Retold. This could actually be good. And to conclude, Matchpoint, a tennis game. Time for some personal updates. What have I been up to? I've been mostly playing Alaloth so far, clocking enough hours to get a good grasp on the game to write my early access review. Very decent title, this one, especially for early access. It is feature complete, pretty much bug free in terms of gameplay at least, and quite enjoyable overall. Once again, you can find my review in the card in the description. I'm also playing the other games I'm about to review, meaning Esse Proxy and Clanfolk. I can tell you a little bit about what I experienced so far with Clanfolk. This is one of those rather brutal town builders that looks all cutesy, but then winter hits and suddenly you're screwed faster than the bunnies hopping around the village. Within 5 days, everyone was dead. Banished comes to mind, and the comparison would be an apt one. For Esse Proxy, I'm just hoping it's more of the same of the demo. More on these games later, around those release dates. Then the reviews are up. And from time to time, I'm playing League of Legends, support Lux. I'm not good, but I'm having fun. Just mute your teammates, play the game, kill some noobs, it's great. If you're on EU and you want to play a game sometime with me, hit me up on Discord. I play Ash ADC as well. I'm not sure you want to see that, but hey, I can't play support always, so, you know. It's in the description as well, the Discord. And that's it! If you have any questions or remarks, put them in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, you want more like this, consider liking the video or even subscribing. Thanks for watching and making it to the end. Love you all. See you soon. Bye bye.